Let's get into it.
What's up, everybody? This is SMH Podcast. I am your host, Shania. Thanks for joining me today on another episode. We're doing another movie review. Hey, so thanks for joining us today. Hope you follow us on social media. My Instagram is SMH Podcast 96. Again, that's SMH Podcast 96. My Twitter is SMH1. Podcast 1, my bad. The @ for it is SMH Podcast 1. And you can also find me on TikTok. My TikTok is SMH Photography. But thanks for joining me today. We're going to get into another episode. And the next movie we're doing a review on is... Drumroll. Can I get a drum roll? Drum roll? Drum roll. Drum roll, please. It is... Bam! Meet the Blacks 2. So if you follow us on social media, you know our next movie review will be on Meet the Blacks 2, The House Next Door, starring Mike Epps, Cat Williams, Gary Owen, Michael Blackson, Little Duval, and a whole bunch of other characters. But let's get into it. Let's get into the episode. So, my first take on the movie, if you don't know what Meet the Blacks 2 is, it's just a second part to the first movie that they made. It's kind of like a scary story type movie, you know. It kind of like these people, they came into money and then they moved, and now this creepy, like, kind of scary stuff is type of happening. The first movie was like a parody of like The Purge and kind of like what black people would do in like The Purge type ordeal. And the second movie was more or less like they just had like a crazy scary neighbor next door to them, which was played by Cat Williams. So my take on the movie might shock a few people. I thought the movie was funny. I did, but I also felt like the movie just kind of lacked in like the storytelling part. Like I felt like the movie just seemed a little rushed, like the conflict and all like the action of everything, and the situation of them, you know, getting into it came kind of quickly, and we didn't really get like a long type backstory. And I'm not saying like it has to be super long, but kind of like a long backstory as to like who more or less, you know, Cat Williams' character is, or why he's so like the way that he is, or a more or less we could have got more detail into like the daughter's life and why she decided to get back with her boyfriend, because it's like it showed that a little bit, but it didn't really like, I guess, like do it enough for me. Like it was just like he came out the closet and like, oh yeah, I'm still with him, blah blah blah. But I'm like, you know, we could have got like a crazy lead up to why they got back together, and then, you know, that could have happened as well when Mike Epps found him in his daughter's closet, my bad. I know my voice sounds kind of bad. I need water, y'all, I'm sorry. But for me, I just felt like the movie felt like the conflict and the whole plot of the movie kind of felt a little rushed, and it was kind of like okay, let's get in there, and let's start all this craziness to start happening. But what I did love was that, you know, in a comedic aspect, it was really funny. It did have its good moments, especially when, you know, the comedians like Little Duval, Michael Blackson, and Mike Epps and Cat Williams all were, you know, going back and forth with each other. I love that because it really gives like a space for, you know, the actors to be able to flow. It's a good flow. Like you don't really get to see that as much, you know, because scripted comedy is not that well. Like I don't really like scripted comedy too much. Like I really like it to really just be natural and just flow type with the movie. Like it might be a little unorthodox a little bit, but it still goes with the movie type. But it was good. You can tell it wasn't really that scripted, and it was really organic. For I love the whole, they still kept it a scary story type Phil Cat Williams was after Mike Epps' wife, who was played by, my bad, Zule. I don't really know how to pronounce her last name, and I'm not gonna butcher it. But Zule, we've seen her in the first movie. She played his wife in the first movie, and she did a good job. But I felt like we didn't really see her that much. Like, she was like here and there, like, oh, he wants me, and type. She popped in and out. It was kind of like she popped in and out. She wasn't really like, her character wasn't really like there that much, like as she was in the first movie, I guess. But it did good. It did a really good job of bringing back some old characters, like King Batch, who played the crazy boyfriend, and Brescia Webb, who played the daughter. But I did love the new characters like Michael Blackson, Snoop Dogg. I did love Danny Trejo's character. He kind of added like a little balance to like all the craziness going on, because like he knew what was going on, and he knew that how to like stop people, how to like stop the badness, and like how to like really just go after these people. And I love Rick Ross' character, because it's like you could tell, like, even without like a real like name for himself, because I didn't catch his name in the movie. I only seen it once, but I didn't really catch his name in the movie. But you could tell he was like he was like this real significant character, even not even being in the movie so much. So I did love how they gave him such like a authoritative role, but he also didn't have to like do too much in his role, and it still came off really really great. So I did love all that. All the new people were good, and I love how they started it off on like Snoop Dogg's podcast, because I kind of miss Snoop Dogg's podcast. I don't know if he does it anymore. I probably stopped just watching it and shit like that. But his podcast, like show radio, be like hella funny. So I did love it that they started off like that. They could have like, I don't know, brought him in more, instead of just in the beginning, because he was more or less just in the beginning and that was it. Like, I felt like it's just like, for me, the whole storyline, like, they did not do a good job on making the storyline too relevant. Like, for me, it's just like they got a crazy neighbor who's in love with his wife and tried to possess everybody, and then turned his wife into a vampire. And that's the thing that got me at the end. She turned into a vampire, right? She had the fangs and everything, but at the end of the movie, she wasn't a vampire anymore. And they killed Cat Williams, I get that, but that doesn't mean she just goes back into being a human. Like, that's not how the whole thing works. She's still a vampire. So I felt like they should have just tried to do something there, or just made her possessed or something, because that kind of threw me off at the end. The fact that she was a vampire and then now she's not a vampire after he died. I get it that, he died, he blew up and all that. Sorry, spoiler alert. For those of y'all who haven't watched the movie, just spoiled the ending for you. But yeah, I just felt like they just did not do a good job in like, okay, how she get back into like I had that type of question like at the end. I had a lot of questions toward the end, because there was this part where they were looking for this package that was from Africa that got mailed to the other neighbor house, and we never even got to see what happened or what was in the package, more or less, and what happened to the package. Like, what happened to the package? Like, what was so significant about the package? Because they went over to Cat Williams' house to go investigate, to go find his daughter, more or less, but there was no, like, they brought the package, and then, like, they just never, like, it was just no significance to the package type. Like, and even Cat Williams was looking for it. They put that in there. Like, he was like, where's the package? Like, looking for it while they were spying on him type stuff. And, like, they never, like, I don't know. It was just, like, a lot of little details that they use to help move the story along. But that stuff never brought back up. So I just don't know what it even had to do with the storyline, because it felt like the story was going a whole different way. Like, they used it for part of the story, but like, I needed a little bit more detail. That's all I'm saying. I just needed a little bit more detail. I'm not saying that the movie was bad or that they didn't do a good job. I'm going to just say I like the first movie better than I like the second movie. Even though this is a review on the second movie. No shade, it's just my opinion. But it was a good movie overall. I just felt like they could have just did a better job with the story. I'm going to just stop saying it. It is what it is. I hope everybody goes out and see it. It just hit the box office and, still go see the movie. Don't take my opinion. Go watch it for yourself, it could be that I just watched it one time. I thought the same thing for Boo, too. And the first Boo. I didn't really, the Tyler Perry's Boo 1 and 2. I didn't really like it the first time I watched it. Second time I watched it wasn't that bad. I was like, okay, maybe I just didn't give it a try, and maybe I just needed to sit down and focus on it. Because when I like to watch movies a couple times before and really be engaged within them, just like before I give like a real opinion on it. So this was like my first time watching it. I didn't really watch it a second time to give you guys like a thorough review, but that was just like my first take on it. Because it's like I felt like the first movie did a good job with the story. More or less, I felt like they did a good job on making sure that the story stood on track and that it made sense from beginning to the end. Even though it was like a parody of The Purge, and I guess this one wasn't really a parody. It was just like a spin-off of the first one. It wasn't really like it wasn't like a parody of another movie, because you can kind of tell they took the idea of The Purge and flipped it, but this one didn't really have like a basis of it. So maybe that's where it lacked at, because it didn't really have a basis as to why there's a crazy neighbor next door or what the crazy neighbor was doing there. I guess, he was there looking for his wife, but like he just stumbled upon her, so I don't know. I want y'all to still watch the movie. Like I said, it just came out in theaters, so please go and watch it. It's a great film. Good if you want to laugh, with your friends. Go out, have a good time. The outside just opened back up. I'm in California, so California just opened back up, y'all. So just go watch the movie. But that's the end of the episode. This was just a brief review on the new movie Meet the Blacks 2, The Neighbor, The House Next Door. Sorry, y'all. The House Next Door, Meet the Blacks 2. Good film. Check them out. Follow me on social media. My Instagram is SMH Podcast 96. Again, that's SMH Podcast 96. And my Twitter is SMH Podcast 1. That's the @ for it. So if you're trying to find me and you can't find it, because the @ for it is SMH Podcast 1. You can find me on TikTok. My TikTok is a long name, so if you follow me on my other social medias, you'll see my TikTok. Like, it's all in my bio. So thanks for listening. I hope you guys have a great evening. Please drive home safely if you're driving and you're listening to this podcast. But it's been a great day. Thanks, everybody, and I hope you have a great evening.
I'm about to walk this motherfucker, man.